Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video, folks. Today in this video I'm going to show you how to get the Deathcharger'S Reins. This is a mount that drops from Baron Rivendare in Stratholme, and in this video I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about running this dungeon, how I run it, the path I take, both entrances, and of course how to get the key for the service entrance to this dungeon. This dungeon is quite a large one and we're only going to be farming the second half of the dungeon. Before I do get into the video, I do have a bit of a request from everybody watching this video, and that is of course to put down in a comment how many times it took you to get this mount. Also do mention if you have done this on WoW Classic or Retail, and the reason I'm asking for this information is of course because there are outdated guides and places where you can find information on this, but like I said, they are outdated, and so I wanted to have this information compiled in this video so that people can actually have this information or access to this information if they are interested in doing this, for them to be able to decide if it's worth their time. Now of course this mount is quite rare, and I believe that the drop rate on Classic is a 1% drop chance. Now for me, if I were to do the math, I kind of got a 0.8% drop chance as I got this mount on the 204th kill. Alright, here we are folks at the entrance of Stratholme, or the back entrance I should say. It's also known as the service entrance into Stratholme, and I'm going to bring up the map and show you where that is on the map here in a couple of seconds. Now, of course, there are two entrances into the dungeon. There's the main entrance, and this is where I'm located right here. This is the back entrance, and this is the main entrance into Stratholme. If you have not done this dungeon and don't have a friend to get you in it and help you get the key, then you will have to do the full run, and in the full run you will kill the Magister, I believe it's called. I forgot what his name was. He will drop a key, and that key will let you access this service gate right here. So this is called the service entrance, back entrance, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing, and you can only do that once you have the key from the Magister. If you have not done it and have a friend who has the key, you can be in a way boosted to get the key through the back entrance. You will find that particular NPC that drops it in the second half as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stick to the left side, try and avoid aggroing all of these NPCs, just because it's a waste of time to fight them. And do bear in mind, of course, that chain aggroing here is a big thing. So we're going to hug the wall here and just kind of push ourselves along the wall. This is where the key comes in handy again. You cannot open this without the key. And there's another gate that we need to open. Once we open this, a countdown timer will start. Of course, we don't really care much for it. I mean, it's already started over there, so that's fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the left. And one thing you want to be extra careful with is the ghouls right there. They seem to have a larger aggro radius than most of the NPCs here in this dungeon. This is the first boss here that you want to fight, and what I tried to do here is I tried to get underneath the boss and push the boss backwards, and I like to get him to kind of back into the wall, because what he'll do is he will web you, or actually she, I should say, she will web you and then back out. And of course, if you are melee, that is a bit of a pain and makes the fight a bit longer. So by sneaking underneath the boss, I push the boss into the wall. It can't go back any further, so even if it does web me, I can still hit the boss. Of course, each boss will have one of these necropolis thingies on the or behind them. You want to go in and kill out the acolytes, and once you've completely killed off the acolytes, you'll get that red message that I just showed you before. Of course, you can go from there down the left path, but I like to go back on myself, so kind of follow the path that I came. I know that path is safe, and the reason I say that is in this dungeon you will have shades that are called I believe Eyes of Naxxramas, and so they are invisible, but once you walk past them they will become visible, and if you don't kill them off quickly, they will aggro pretty much everything around them and spawn NPCs on top of you. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is, of course, that chain aggroing is absolutely a thing. This is the second boss. Her biggest thing is she will take control of a player, and then obviously that player becomes hostile to other players. So if you bring in a friend, do keep that in mind. But if you do take her down really quickly, then there's nothing to worry about. So if you come in with a friend, just keep that in mind. Now, what I like to do with Death and DK is I like to try and clip the Acolyte on the far side as well, or even if I clip one of them, it'll be good enough to get both of them to come to me, and then just kind of let the Death and DK do its thing. Over here, we're going to try and hug the right wall. Sometimes you will have a gargoyle fly past, so be careful to avoid it. Over here, we're going to basically thread the needle between them ghouls. They are quite annoying because they seem to have quite a large aggro radius. Okay, so I did make a mistake here, and I guess you'll get to see the chain aggroing mechanic in play. As you can see, we've got two banshees on us. Now, what is important here is if you do end up chain aggroing creatures or NPCs here, you want to deal with the spider-like creatures. Those are the crawlers first. What they do is they will web you and move back, but they also do a silence as well. So that is the priority. Then the gargoyles, they have a fear, and then of course the banshees as well, and then anything else after those. But that should be your priority for getting rid of the NPCs here. This is the third boss. Same as with the other two, we're going to take him out and then take out his NPCs as well. Go into this building that unlocks, kill out all the acolytes, and with this we will have unlocked the gate that basically lets us into the final end of this dungeon. If you don't kill out the acolytes, and say if you do the bosses and you don't kill the acolytes, the gate will not open. So it's quite important to get rid of the acolytes. Make sure you get that red message right there. That kind of lets you know that all the acolytes are dead. So after this, we will see the NPC or the boss that drops the key. So I'm just going to try and avoid all of this bad stuff. It's not necessarily a big time loss, and I'll speak about that in a bit as well. So to the right here in this little corner, alright, that big ugly dude is one of the bosses, and he drops the key. So if you come down the service entrance, that's where you will find him. If you come down the main entrance, you will find him right at the first room that we enter. Either way, you want to kill him for the key, because the key will let you use the service entrance into Stratholme. Over here, do bear in mind, these guys do not hit as badly, but once you stack them up like I do, if you're not wearing plate, it will hurt quite a bit. So because I am on my blood spec and I can get a bit of healing, I can afford to pull all of them. And I do also have some heals, but if you don't have, if you're like a cloth wearer or a different type of class that does not wear plate or lacks healing, you might want to pull them in smaller groups. The other thing I wanted to mention about the dungeon is, and this is quite important, you can probably run this quite quickly if you want to, but it's not worth it because you can only do, I believe, 4 or 5 dungeons per hour. If you basically run this too quick, what will happen is it'll lock you out of it until the timer is up, and you'll basically end up having to wait until you can enter again. So I would say you want to do Stratholme in around 15 to 20 minutes, just so that you can continuously farm it if you want to farm it effectively without being locked out of Stratholme. So as for these NPCs here, we have 2 types. We have the Venom Belcher and the Bile Spewer. One of them will put a dot on you that will slow your movement down quite a bit, and also put a dot on you, and then the other one will pop out some additional adds. They look like little blobs. There we go, the Bile Slime, and they normally tend to pop out in groups of 4s. So yeah, you just want to AoE them down as quick as possible. After you finish with these abominations, basically, because that's what they are, or at least that's what they're modeled after. You will get the second to last boss. He comes out this door. Now, I've seen people go inside and fight him, but I think that messes with the game mechanics, so I like to fight him out here and just do it as intended. As I said, I don't want to be finishing this run too quick, because otherwise it will mess up with my timer and how often I can come into the dungeon, and I want to be efficient with it. So I've basically kind of found out that if you do a run every 15 to 20 minutes, or if you kind of get a run done in 15-20 minutes, you should be fine. You shouldn't find yourself locked out of the dungeon. After you kill the skeletons that come through that door, you have about a minute or so to wait it out until the doors open. When they open, as you can see, we have some guards right there. Again, I'll just AoE them down, nothing really too special. And after that, we get to the final boss. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the run. I'm gonna do the full run just to kind of show you what Baron Rivendare looks like if you haven't seen him. His room, there's nothing really special about it. He does do a small AoE damage to anyone in his room. Nothing really to worry about. He will spawn some skeletons if you don't kill them off quickly. He will then kill the skeletons and gain health, and those are kind of the only mechanics to kind of worry about at this point. Yeah, we're just gonna wait out this time right here. It does take a bit of time. It is a bit annoying. Sometimes I do get distracted here. I'm just gonna drop down a death and decay. Let the death and decay do its thing. There we go. It shouldn't take that long before they drop dead. Now, of course, it's up to you if you want to loot the bodies. I don't really care much for the loot here. The only thing I want is the mount. Also, quite an important note on Ramstein the Gorger, which was the boss before, the big abomination boss. He does do a knockback, which will also silence you for a couple of seconds, and that is really the only move you need to worry about. I'm going to use Army of Dead here for this particular fight, just to make it a bit quicker. You probably won't see him summon the skeletons, but when he does, wait for the skeletons to kind of come on top of the boss, or on top of you basically, and once they're all gathered together, just AoE them down. Let's see what we got. There we go. Nothing too important. So this is how many times I've killed him so far at the time of making this particular video, but I will show the loot once I do get the mount. Alright, it has taken a very long time for me to actually get this. This is what it looks like in the boss's inventory, the Deathcharger'S Reins. It is... there's a lot of farming involved. So all in all, for me, it took about 3 weeks, 204 kills in 3 weeks, or 204 runs within 3 weeks to get this particular mount. So that's how long it took me. Now, I am aware that some people have done it within 74 kills. I've heard stories of people doing it in 32, 34-ish kills, something like that. For me, well, I'm not the luckiest of people, but it took quite a while. There we go. We also get a little achievement there. If you are a bit of an achievement hunter, that's something for you that you might be interested in. But as I said, by this number, I would then say a 0.8% drop chance, although I think the more accurate number would be a 1% drop chance here for Classic. So if you're doing this run and you have got yourself the mount, please leave a comment below with how many attempts or runs it took you to get the mount. And of course, please remember to specify what version of the game you did it on. If you've done it on WoW Classic, or Wrath of the Lich King Classic, or Burning Crusade Classic, or if you've done it on retail. And the reason I'm asking for people to put down this information in this video is simply because there isn't really a location or a source that details this, or what I've found is vastly out of date. And I do realize that there will be people interested in this, and I guess with this information, people can then decide if it's worth their time and effort, as it does require quite a bit of time in order to actually get this. And with that said, that is pretty much it for this video, folks. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you have found it useful and informative. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to support the video and the channel by hitting that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe, folks.